said, well, what I said was that you didn't like it that much.
Maybe not as much as father. I've only seen it. Awesome. Good.
It's really, really good.
It's so beautiful. What?
So it's should be on now, but it isn't, so just hang on a minute.
What? Oh, you do listen to me. I mostly said that watching the YouTube videos and
I don't know.
that is the thing you guys do all.
Shalom. All right, welcome, good evening, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to those who are here and those who might be watching on YouTube. Often this is a pretty popular, fairly popular service, the last one of the year, but when it's actually New Year's Eve, maybe slightly less, and because of the intensity of the Omicron spread, I know there are several people who don't want to be here live. However, we are going to have a little l'chaim to toast the New Year and Shabbat outside on that little balcony. So stick around for just a few minutes. Okay, so that should be fun. All right, so we have a lot to say tonight there's a lot of extra music tonight. So we're gonna kind of skip most of the Kabbalat Shabbat part. We're just going to start on page 12 with Romamu. Exalting Hashem our God. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. All right, page 13, Mizmor LeDavid. Mizmor LeDavid, Avol Adonai Benim, Avol Adonai, Gavol Ma'oz, Ay, Avol Adonai, Kevod Shemo Yishtachavu Adonai Be'adrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai, Al Hamayim El HaKavod Yirim, Adonai, Hamayim Rabim, Kol Adonai, Ba'koach, Ay, Kol Adonai, Be'adar Kol Adonai, Shomer Arazim, Vayshaber Adonai, Et Arzei Havanon, Vayarkirem Kemo Egel, Lebanon, Ve'esirion, Kemo Venreimi, Ay, Kol Adonai, Chotzev Lavot Ish, Kol Adonai, Yakir Midbar, Yakir Adonai, Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai, Yechol El Hayalot, Vayekesov, Ke'arot, U'echalot, Lo Omer Kavod, Ay, Adonai, Lama Lecha Dodi, page 15. Lecha Dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שהמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ונגילה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תפילה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Bottom of 17. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, את אדוני תריצי, על ידי שבת פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לה 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 lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and face the entrance. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. And we welcome the Shabbat bride. In fact, Yadira, you get to be a bride for a whole year, so she's still within the year of bridedom. And we say to any mourners who are in our midst, Hamakom minechem, b'toch sha'ar v'lev Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you, all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We're on page 19. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ונתך בלילות, עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינוך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, לזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. We continue silently. צדיק תמר יפרח, כרז בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרו אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינון בסבע, דשנים ורעננים יהיו לחגים. Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatavo Adonai Malach Gerut Lavesh Lavesh Adonai Zita Zaraf Tikon Tevel Baltimo Lachon Kisacha Meaz Melamata Nasuderot Adonai Nasuderot Kolam Yusunerot Ohyam Kol Ma'im Ma'im Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam Adir Bamarov Adonai Erotecha Ne'emnu Me'od Kodesh Adonai Leorech Yamin. Please rise for the Baruch Hu, page 22. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. May be seated. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro amari v'aravim. Chai v'kayam tamid imlo kalin le'olam va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai hama'ari v'aravim. Ahavat olam Bein Yisrael Amcha Eloheinu b'shachmeinu V'meinu nesiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Balayla, Negeyom Balayla. Be'avatecha al tasir, Mimeinu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 25. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shoklecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'ayuladotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Continue silently 27 through 29. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. Page 32. Yi chamocha, aini mana'ini, yi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, urat hilot, osef eleh, urat hilot, osef מחותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה. תליענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. יהי כמוך באלי מנעי מי כמוך נהדר בקודש שנורא תהילות עושה פלא נורא תהילות עושה פלא נורא תהילות עושה פלא 33. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Amidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Amidenu Malkeinu Salenu Sukkot Shlomecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Havarei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, Val Kol Amo Yisrael, Yal Yerushalayim. Please rise for the Shamru, page 34. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat L'asot, Et HaShabbat L'edor Kaverim Kodam, B'nei Bnei Yisrael, Oti Leolam, Veshamru Bnei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat L'asot, Et HaShabbat L'edor Kaverim Kodam, Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, את השמיים ואת הארץ לדורות הבאים עולם. וביום אשר תהי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. Page 35. Yikadal v'yikara shemei rabba, Yamad yivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomecha, uv'vayegecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'izman kariv imeru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabba mevorach, Le'olam olam me'omaya Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'parviram v'naseh v'tadar v'taleh v'talal shmei kudsha Le'la min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imeru. Silent Amidah, page 37 through 40. Ose shalom bimromavu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Le'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen. Abbreviating a little bit tonight to get to the music and the list of the significant deaths of the year. We turn to the Kaddish Shalem on page 53. Yikra v'yikra shemei Rava, Yamad yivrach Yerutevim lichmachutei v'chayechon v'yamechon Beit Yisrael, v'galav zman perivim meru. Yehei shmei Rava mevorach, le'olam me'omaya yifrach. Yiparach v'shtabach v'barbaram v'naseh v'tadar v'talev v'talash me'nekutsha. Le'elam v'kubachata v'shirata v'shpachata v'nechamata damiram b'yom v'imeru. Tikavot tzvoton v'voton l'chol Yisrael kodam v'von divishmai v'imeru. Nishlam rab min shemai v'chimel l'chol Yisrael v'imeru. Oseh shalom b'mromav v'ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imeru. Please rise for the Kiddush. We will also do a little sparkling Kiddush outside on the balcony when this ends. We got individual cups, we're outside, so we should be okay. You'll freeze, but it won't be very long. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shavat kodsho v'avav ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikrayei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu achar taveotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabat kodshecha v'avav uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim to life. Good one, Eyal. Ariel, why don't you join Eyal up here as parents will bless their children. Anyone else who wants to bless people there are near. And we say, Yisimcha Elohim k'Ephraim v'chi Menashe, Yisimech Elohim k'Sar, Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yer Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift the divine face toward you and grant you peace. Amen. Please remain standing for Aleinu, page 57. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, ha'tetu ha'yotzei reishit, shelo samanu b'yei ha'ratzot, ve'lo samanu b'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samel k'nikahem, ve'gol aleinu k'chol ha'adonam, ha'namnu korim, u'b'shachavim u'modim, livnei melech, malchei mamlachim, Shevunotei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'Moshe v'yikaro b'shamayim mima'al u'shrinatuzo b'gopei miromim u'Eloheinu Eihod el mitmalkeinu efes ulato kakatu b'torato Yedata ayom ve'hashivota el levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mima'al haaretz ve'haaretz mitachat einod einod. Kakatu b'shorashecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'hayach Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. And we may be seated as I have lots of names to read and things like that before we do cottage. I'm going to start with the names of those as Yorksites we observe during the coming week, because I sometimes forget to do that when I start listing all the famous people. So we're thinking especially today of Joseph Boston, Rose Cohen, Alice Cunningham, Elwood Davidson, Henry DeLuggage, Jewel Ephraim Fass, Benjamin Gore, Herman Handloff, Dr. Simon Haskell, Thomas Lee Hastings, Harriet Kaplan, Harry Karsh, Samuel Kay, Morris Kessler, Etta Kushner, Eli Langfeld, Dorothy Lavin, William Bandler, Sofika Hersku-Mantell, Marion Migdal, Harry Moravsky, Eliezer Nahari, Morris Nankin, Bertha Rabinowitz, Inga Rosenthal, Mani Sadian, Esther Shulak, Ethel Schaefer, Helen Siegel, Morris Silverman, William Stern, Leo Wasserman. And the name that you wanted to add, Mr. Horowitz, is what? Farber?
Dr. Leslie Farber.
Dr. Leslie Farber. We also are in the Shloshim for Sidney Gordon and Shirley Fryerman. So as I do every secular New Year, I have a list of those who are famous, who died in this past year, who influenced our lives from afar, occasionally up close, but mostly from afar. And I may have left off some of your favorites, but it's a pretty good, pretty long list. I'm going to start with the actors and actresses category because Betty White died today. Incredible actor. Also, Ed Asner, Cloris Leachman, and Gavin MacLeod all died this year, and they are connected by what show? Not Love Bug. Mary Tyler Moore. So Gavin is, of course, known as the Captain Stubing, but they were all in Mary Tyler Moore. The other four main characters had died in separate years, and then those four this year, which is really, I found really interesting. But Ted Nightmare and Mary Tyler Moore and Valerie Harper and whoever plays Georgette had died in previous years. Cicely Tyson won an Emmy for, or an Academy Award for Sounder. Jessica Walter, Arrested Development. Sally Ann Howes, My Fair Lady, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Olympia Dukakis. A couple of 80s babes, that's the only thing I could really call them. Marky Post and Tawny Katane, who was in the video with the car. Every guy my age knows that video. Okay, Ned Beatty, Hal Holbrook, Charles Grodin, Dean Stockwell, who my mom knew as a matinee idol, but I knew him from one of my very favorite shows of all time, which is Quantum Leap. So I say Charles Grodin, Tommy Kirk from Old Yeller, and then a bunch of character actors who really were known for one, especially for one role, maybe more, but the ones I know them for. Dustin Diamond, Saved by the Bell. Eddie Mecca, anyone know who that is? Carmine the Big Ragu on Laverne and Shirley. Anyone know who James Michael Tyler is? Gunther on Friends, from the coffee shop. Anyone who, this one maybe more people know, Willie Garson, Sex and the City. Peter Scolari from Bosom Buddies. Christopher Plummer, Sound of Music. And another three weren't really actors, they sort of were actors, but they were, I would just call them more performers. That's Norm Macdonald of Saturday Night Live fame, Siegfried Fischbacher of Siegfried and Roy, and Jackie Mason. This year, yes. All right. Speaking of some other famous Jews, or infamous Jews in some cases, you have Bernie Madoff, Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, Shlomo Hillel, who you probably haven't heard of, but he was the one who led the Jews in Iraq, their escape from Iraq to get to Israel. Abraham Tversky, a Hasidic Jew, but who wrote, besides Jewish writings, all kinds of psychology writings, really quite famous outside of Jewish world as well. A lot of commentators, the first of whom is Jewish, and news-ish people. Larry King, incredible interviewer, and oft-times husband. Willard Scott, weatherman. Rush Limbaugh, who didn't create, but really popularized a genre of talk radio that is, in my opinion, I'll just get political for a second, not necessarily even in his particular politics, but just as really polarized. He contributed more to polarization of our society than just about anybody, I think. And maybe he doesn't get enough credit for that. G. Gordon Liddy, lawyer F. Lee Bailey, a lot of politicians. Carl Levin, a Jewish senator from Michigan. Harry Reid, Senate Majority Leader, Nevada Senator. Donald Rumsfeld, Department of Defense. A couple of presidential candidates who both did terribly in their elections, but both of whom seemed like menches anyway, and that's Walter Mondale and Bob Dole. Someone who was really, I guess he was a Republican, but someone who would just be hard to press to be as well known, and as successful as today as he was in his time. And that's Colin Powell, who really went across parties and races and everything. He's an incredible man. Prince Philip and Bishop Desmond Tutu. Right, to the world of writers, books, and movies. Beverly Cleary, great children's writer. Another great children's writer, but only known for one book, really, and he was Jewish, and apparently I learned just in researching this that a lot of the nonsense in this book was based on all the Yiddish that was spoken in his family, and that's Norton Juster, who wrote The Phantom Tollbooth, which so many of us read as children. Joan Didion, Bell Hooks, and in the film business, Joan Micklin Silver, who was the director of both Hester Street and Crossing Delancey, both about the Lower East Side, but very different eras and very different films, so really incredible. All right, let's get to the world of sports. Irv Cross, who was part of the NFL Today, along with Brent Musburger and Phyllis, I can't remember her last name, Phyllis George. They were a big threesome in my growing up in the NFL. And really one of the first studio hosts who was African-American, who was really quite an influential guy, doesn't get enough credit. Pedro Gomez, who was an ESPN reporter and did a lot on the Barry Bonds story. A couple of soccer players or footballers. Jimmy Greaves, the all-time leading scorer for Tottenham. Roger Hunt from Liverpool. Car racer Al Unser Sr. A couple of very famous boxers, Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Leon Spinks. Footballers, Demaryius Thomas, who was young, and Hall of Fame linebacker Sam Huff. Basketball player Elgin Baylor, Laker great. Baseballers, this one is the least famous of the three I'm going to mention, but he was big time. His name's J.R. Richard, James Rodney Richard. I know some of you remember him, just as like a 6'8" fastball throwing man. He just got injured and ruined his career, but he was the most intimidating, scariest pitcher of his era in the 80s. Hall of Famer Don Sutton, even though he's mostly a Dodger, and one of the greatest baseball players of all time, Henry Aaron. A lot of coaches. Bobby Bowden. Howard Schnellenberger won the first University of Miami national championship. Marty Schottenheimer, NFL successful coach for many teams. John Chaney, basketball, I think it's Temple, right? Is that the university? The great Tommy Lasorda, also of the Dodgers, and coach and one of the best color commentators of all time, but if you're Garrett's age, you know him for his game mostly, and that is John Madden. And I got to meet him I tell this story a lot, at Al Davis's funeral, and he sat in the back against the wall there, right by that memorial board. He got there about 2 hours early, maybe an hour and a half. Rick, you remember probably, but you were ushering, I think. Or no, you weren't. You couldn't make it. Okay, Sandy was there. Some of the past presidents were invited, and he was just doing this the whole time, holding court back there, just gesticulating wildly, greeting every single person that came in the room. He was exactly as you'd imagine him, and I still can see him sitting back there. All right, now from the world of music. So let's start with Stephen Sondheim, who is in some ways the most influential of this list this year. And I did sing Send in the Clowns the week he died at services. Flori Jagoda, I doubt any of you have heard of her, maybe? Exactly, Ocho Candelas or Candelicas, the writer of that, died this year. Jim Steinman, songwriter, who wrote big tunes, big ballads, including Total Eclipse of the Heart, It's All Coming Back to Me Now, the Celine Dion one, and Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love. Just really big songs was his genre, and I'm sure many more. Phil Spector, a producer and convicted murderer. From the rap world, DMX, Drakeo the Ruler, and Biz Markie, who I was told today was apparently on a children's show, Yo Gabba Gabba, oddly enough. A lot of members of bands who weren't the frontmen necessarily for the bands. Dusty Hill, bassist for ZZ Top. Dee Dee Thomas from Kool and the Gang. Michael Nesmith from the Monkees, that did I'm a Believer. Les McCown for bass from the Bay City Rollers, and I couldn't do SATURDAY Night on Shabbat because, it's Friday night, so we didn't honor him. Charlie Watts, the drummer of the Rolling Stones. Mary Wilson of the Supremes, we did Someday We'll Be Together. Chick Corea. Don Everly of the Everly Brothers did Bye Bye Love. I know some of these weren't necessarily good Shabbat songs, but we did them anyway. B.J. Thomas, we did Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Tom T. Hall, we did I Love. I'm blanking on her name and I forgot to write it down, but the person who originally recorded From a Distance, which was made Nancy Griffith, and that was a candidate for tonight as well. Ultimately not what I've chosen, but she had a big hit with From a Distance in Europe, but not here. And then, of course, Bette Midler had it here. And Jerry Marsden of Jerry and the Pacemakers. And the song you know from him is, if you know it, is Ferry Across the Mersey. But he also had a huge hit with You'll Never Walk Alone. And it's his version that became Liverpool's national anthem that we sang on air of Rosh Hashanah. And so that was one New Year, but I'm not doing it again for this New Year. What song will I do? We'll find out after the Kaddish. Okay. All right. Those who are in mourning or observing Yortzeit, sorry for a humorous introduction to the Kaddish, maybe not the best, but still. Anyway, page 61. Please join me if you wish. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yalmad Yivrach Yeruteh, Yamlich Malchuteh, V'chayechon v'Yomechon, V'chayechon Beit Yisrael, Bagalach Yisman Kariv Yimru. Amen. Yehesh Shmei Rabbah Nevorach, Le'olam L'Omei Maya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitba'ar, Yitbromam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kutsha, Karichu, Le'ela, Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damiran V'Yomah V'Yimru.
Amen.
Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yivru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Moma, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yivru. Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may the memory. Amen. Announcements. Services are tomorrow at 9:30. There is no Kiddush lunch. There will be no Kiddush lunch the following week either, but we hope and honestly expect to resume them unless everything is shut down the following week. But we will not have them for the next couple weeks. Schools start back up again next week, including Beit Sefer, including Gan, Avraham, all those things. And we're just going to do the best we can. All right. So, what song are we doing? What artist are we honoring? So I wanted to do one that I didn't do, and I forgot the week of Charlie Hall's death to honor him or the Rolling Stones. So tonight will be a Rolling Stones song. So I wanted to do You Can't Always Get What You Want because I know it the best. And I think of the scene in The Big Chill at the funeral. Anybody know that scene? It's quite a scene. But he does not play on that recording. He could not get the rhythm, apparently, and so he does not play on it. I probably should have done As Tears Go By, which would be a really melancholy good one, but I didn't think of it. And so I'm doing instead Wild Horses. And it's got a great line, a final line, which is, let's do some living even after we die, which all the people we mentioned tonight will do. But it's not the last. We have two other songs after that tonight, and I'll explain them when we get there. If you want to sing along, of course, feel free to. Childhood living is easy to do. Things that you wanted, bought them for you. Graceless lady, you know who I am. No, I can't let you slide through my hands. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. I watched you suffer a dull aching pain. Now you decided to show me the same. No sweeping exit or off stage lines could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. I know I dreamed you sin and a lie. I have my freedom, but I don't have much time. Faith has been broken, tears must be cried. Let's do some living even after we die. one? Baruch T'yeh. And I mean, it's a spiritual song. It just is. Now, the next one, you're just indulging me, but I play this one every New Year's Eve wherever I am, whether it's a karaoke bar, at our own party, somebody else's party. It's it's just an indulging thing. And it is New Year's Eve tonight. It is Dan Fogelberg's "Same Old Lang Syne," which of course takes place on Christmas Eve, but still it ends with "Old Lang Syne." So I sometimes forget the words, even though I do it every year. But we'll do the best we can. I didn't print them out like I did for. My old lover in the grocery store. The snow was falling Christmas Eve. Stole behind her in the frozen foods, and she touched me on the sleeve. She didn't recognize the face at first, then her eyes blew open wide. She went to hug me and she spilled her purse, and she laughed until we cried. We took her groceries to the checkout stand. The food was totaled up and bagged. Stood there lost in our embarrassment as the conversation dragged. Said the years had been a friend to her, that her eyes were still as blue. In those eyes I wasn't sure if I saw doubt or gratitude. I think I got the wrong verse again, but let's see if I can get this one back. Sorry. Who's talking about bags? Went to have ourselves a drink or two. I mixed the verses. Couldn't find an open bar. We bought a 6-pack at the liquor store, and we drank it in her car. Drank a toast to innocence. We drank a toast to now. Tried to reach beyond the emptiness, but neither one knew how. Said she'd married her an architect. He kept her warm and safe and dry. She would have liked to say she loved the man, but she didn't like to lie. Said the years had been a friend to her, and that her eyes were still as blue. But in those eyes I wasn't sure if I saw doubt or gratitude. She said she saw me in the record stores, and that I must be doing well. I said the audience was heavenly, but the traveling was hell. We drank a toast to innocence. We drank a toast to now. Tried to reach beyond the emptiness, but neither one knew how. We drank a toast to innocence. We drank a toast to time. Living in our eloquence, another old lang syne. Beer was empty and our tongues were tired, running out of things to say. She gave a kiss to me as I got out, and I watched her drive away. Just for a moment I was back at school, and felt that old familiar pain. As I turn to make my way back home, the snow turned into rain. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. All right, Baruch Tiyeh. And we will end with Hebrew to the request of the Sarber Shore family. So Jessica and Sally and Mom Queenie are watching all together in Southern California. Their request, similar, next year, Bashana Haba, next year, may there be more of us in in-person gatherings. We won't count on it, but we can hope. Bashana Haba, נשב על המרפסת ונזכור ציפורים נודדות, יסתדרו ילדים בחופשה, ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile, we can even see them because they won't have their masks on, without wondering whether on that day dark new clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Oh tire, kama tov yihye bashana הבאה. Oh tire, kama tov yihye bashana הבאה. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova. Happy New Year. And L'chaim outside.